She never gave Skylar 1 ounce of mercy.
We're in Morgantown, West Virginia, for the sentencing of 17-year-old Rachel Shoaf. 2 years earlier, Shoaf and another teen, Sheila Eddy, invited their mutual friend, 16-year-old Skylar Neese, to take a late-night car ride with them to rural Pennsylvania. Unknown to Skylar, what seemed like an impromptu road trip was actually a premeditated murder plot.
When they arrived there at that location in the countryside, the three girls got out of the car, and when at the agreed upon signal of a countdown, 1, 2, 3, Rachel Shoaf and Sheila Eddy attacked Skylar Neese and stabbed her to death. Skylar attempted to run away, but Rachel Shoaf tackled her. They killed Skylar because the girls always fought with Skylar, and she was, quote, in the way of the friendship between Rachel and Sheila. Murder by a stranger is a horror, but deliberate murder by friends is unthinkable.
For more than 5 months following the murder, Skylar remained a missing person until police began closing in on Shoaf and Eddy. With their stories crumbling, Shoaf ultimately admitted to the murder and, as part of a plea agreement, agreed to testify against Sheila Eddy and reveal the location of Skylar's body. In return, the state allowed her to plead guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder. Shoaf told police the reason for killing Skylar was, "We just didn't like her." Now at sentencing, Shoaf addresses the court and Skylar's family.
I'm so sorry. I don't know if there's a proper way to make this apology, because there are not even words to describe the guilt and remorse that I feel each day for what I've done. The person that did that was not the real me, not the person I am, not what I'm made of, and not what I believe in. I hurt my parents and shamed my family. I hurt my extended family and all of my friends who loved me. I hurt my teachers and those who believed in me. I hurt my church family, my community, and those who trusted me. And I hurt my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. May God bring eternal peace to Skylar and the entire Neese family. Again, I'm so sorry, and I pray each day for everyone involved, and I pray each day for forgiveness.
Following her statement, Shoaf's attorney asked that his client's cooperation be taken into consideration.
It is my belief, knowing the facts as I do, that this case would not have been resolved without the confession and cooperation of Rachel.
Skylar's father, however, claims her cooperation was just self-serving.
Yes, Rachel Shoaf did tell us where Skylar was. Yes, Rachel Shoaf did cooperate. And Rachel Shoaf also murdered my daughter in cold blood. She should not give any leniency, and she can take her apologies and everything else and sit on them, because that's about what they're worth to me and my wife. She has done nothing but make our lives a living hell since this day one. She did cooperate in the end because she knew that it was closing in on her, and yes, she would be caught. That's the only reason she feels remorse. Your Honor, I ask you to give her 40 years and plus if you can. Thank you, sir.
Under state sentencing guidelines, Shoaf is looking at between 20 and 40 years in prison. Skylar's uncle, Michael Neese, pleads with the court to give her the higher end of the sentencing range.
This is a tragedy. I also would like to point out here today, I know in my heart, Skylar fought that night for her life, and now she's gone. Your Honor, I'm here today to fight for her as hard as she did to stay alive. The admitted murder sitting here today has nothing but blatant disregard for human life and deserves the maximum sentence for her role, and I quote, this extremely horrific and vile crime. Murder is murder.
Now, Rachel Shoaf's fate is in the hands of Judge Russell Claudius.
With respect to the request that the defendant be sentenced as a juvenile, that request has been made. That request is denied. The court can conceive of no rationale under which it would be appropriate that would by no measure be justice in this case. Rachel Shoaf, for your conviction of the offense of murder in the second degree, it is the sentence of the court that you be imprisoned in West Virginia State Penitentiary for a period of 30 years.
Shoaf's sentence falls between the minimum 20 years and the maximum of 40 years for second-degree murder. She was given parole eligibility after 10 years. As for her co-conspirator, Sheila Eddy eventually pled guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 15 years. Next, we head to Jackson, Michigan for a sentencing. Judge John McBain presiding. 18-year-old Damian Hopkins has pled guilty to first-degree arson. 5 months earlier, Hopkins set fire to the home of Charles Penn, the father of Hopkins' underage girlfriend, Alexis Penn. Hopkins claimed he was protecting Alexis from an abusive father. The house was completely destroyed, and Charles suffered first and second-degree burns. Alexis's older sister was in the house the day of the blaze, but was unharmed. Both Hopkins and Alexis were charged with starting the fire. Charles, meanwhile, has never been charged with abusing his daughter. Hopkins pled guilty to the arson charge in exchange for having a lying to a peace officer charge dropped from his case. The state's suggested sentencing guidelines are 15 to 30 years in prison. Today, Hopkins' attorney Susan Denke asked the court to consider her client's positive impact on the community before handing down his punishment.
From a young age, he has been someone who he has seen himself, and others have seen him as someone who is there to help. The court has got a copy of the Citizen Patriot article where he received a Courage Award.
The victim, Charles Penn, has a completely different opinion of the defendant and of his relationship with 14-year-old Alexis.
Damien was the 18-year-old predator, pedophile, in control because he was bitter about Lexi finally getting her life back together and being with another boy of her own age.
Ultimately, deciding Hopkins' sentence is up to Judge McBain, who lets the defendant know exactly how he feels.
You know, you're anything but a Boy Scout in this matter. You're the one statutorily raping that little girl. And now you're trying to save her from her dad that really didn't do anything at all, except try to be a father. Do you understand what you're lucky you're not here sentencing for, Mr. Hopkins? What's that? It's called felony murder, which means if somebody had actually died in that fire, you'd have been, that the only sentence would have been happening here today is life without the possibility of parole. And you died in the Department of Correction.
Judge McBain adheres to the state's suggested guidelines and sentences Hopkins to 15 to 30 years in prison. He'll be eligible for parole in 2029, when he would be 33 years old.
And frankly, I think you should get more. You deserve the sentence you got here today.
As for Alexis, because she too was charged with first-degree arson, as per Michigan law, she was charged as an adult. She pled guilty by mental illness, and Judge McBain sentenced the now 15-year-old to 7 to 20 years in prison. But 10 months later, she appealed, and the state gave her a new deal which reduced her sentence from 7 to 5 years in prison. Alexis has since served the minimum of her term and has been released. Next, we go to Memphis, Tennessee, for the verdict in the case against Shelby Isaac. The 19-year-old's accused of first-degree murder in the death of Eddie Tate and his girlfriend Edwina Thomas, who was 8 weeks pregnant at the time. The alleged motive? A bad hair week. Nearly 2 years earlier, Isaac bought $250 worth of hair extensions from Tate. Apparently upset with the purchase, Isaac scheduled a second meeting to get her money back. And according to testimony of a witness who claimed to be there at the time, that's when she allegedly shot and killed the victims. But the defense pointed to the lack of physical evidence in the case.
When you follow the credible and unbiased evidence in this case, it does not lead you to Shelby Isaac.
After hearing all the evidence, the jury returned with a verdict.
Has the jury arrived at a verdict in this case? All 4 counts? Were they unanimous?
If Isaac is found guilty, she could spend the rest of her life in prison.
Ms. Isaac, please stand.
Judge James Lammy reads the verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder as included in count 1. Signed by the foreperson of the jury. Mr. Aldridge, is that your verdict? Ms. Foster, is that your verdict?
Yes.
Of second-degree murder as included in count 1. Signed by the foreperson of the jury.
Upon hearing the news, Isaac collapses to the floor. Meanwhile, the judge doesn't skip a beat as he individually polls the jurors and moves on to the next count.
Sir, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? Ma'am, is that your verdict? And
As the court staff tends to Isaac, who remains on the floor, the judge continues to carry on with the business at hand.
is that your verdict, sir? Is that your verdict, sir? Yes, sir. Okay. As to count 2 of the indictment, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder. Sir, is that your verdict? Your verdict, ma'am?
Yes.
Your verdict, ma'am?
Yes.
Your verdict? Your verdict? Your verdict? Your verdict, sir? Yes, sir. Your verdict? Your verdict? Yes, sir. Your verdict. As to count 3, that was count 4, I'm sorry, excuse me. In count 4, a criminally negligent homicide is included in count 4. Is that your verdict, ma'am?
After a few minutes, as the judge continues, Isaac lets out a scream and pleads for help.
Your verdict? Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Isaac is convicted of 2 counts of second-degree murder, reckless homicide, and criminally negligent homicide of the unborn baby. She's sentenced to 30 years in a state penitentiary and won't be eligible for release until the year 2040, when she'll be 42 years old.
The problem is, you don't want to play by anybody's rules. You want to play by your own rules.
Next, we go to Berea, Ohio for a probation hearing. The defendant's 18-year-old William Demopoulos. He's on probation for criminal damaging, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, and obstructing official business. Things have not started off well, as Judge Chris Green is annoyed with Demopoulos for refusing to hand over his cell phone to a probation officer.
Give me that phone. What's in that phone you don't want us to find?
Nothing. I just didn't see no need for you guys to confiscate my phone and go through it. I mean...
And you play by your rules. You don't want to play by anybody else's rules.
When the judge hands the phone to a clerk, the defendant starts to retreat.
Come here. Hey. Come here.
No, man. No, man, this is not right, man. I'm telling you, it's not right. This system is so messed up.
Stand there. If you're going to act up,
please.
give me an officer. Give me an officer
Please,
from next door.
please, please, please.
No.
It doesn't have to be
I'm right now thinking about charging you with resistance.
Please, it doesn't have to be like this, John.
Stand there and stand like a man.
I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
Then you're going to go to jail today.
Sounds like this teen is willing to give up his freedom for a phone.
What did we talk about with regard to following the rules?
To follow them.
And they told you to give him the phone?
I don't know why.
The judge breaks it down for Demopoulos.
When you are on probation, your probation officer has a right to take anything they want to take of yours. If they want to search your phone, they search your phone. The problem is, you don't want to play by anybody's rules. You want to play by your own rules.
It's not like that, Your Honor.
Getting nowhere, the defendant changes his story.
It's not my cell phone.
Whose cell phone is it?
It's my brother's.
Then why didn't you tell them that? I need him handcuffed, please.
Even with deputies closing in, Demopoulos doesn't seem interested in cooperating. As quickly as Demopoulos hops over the table, the deputies tackle him to the floor.
You're gonna get paid. Stop resisting.
Where you on her today, man? Don't think on so up, man, for real. Please stop, man.
That's the defendant's grandfather looking on.
Why don't you get to happen, man? But why though, man? Why does it have to be like this, man? Really?
It's like this because you make it like this.
Just waste some fuck, man.
My problem is I can't have someone on probation if they won't listen to their probation officer.
He has a problem. I know he has a problem.
Man, he's kind of like a little captive,
Yeah, he's drunk. He's very athletic.
Yeah.
The judge revokes the defendant's probation, and he's charged with resisting arrest. He's sent to jail for 40 days.